Hello everyone, welcome and thank you for joining our today's webinar, uh, which is on the insider secret for securing your dream job. So my name is Harsh and I will be kicking off the things for us today. Okay, so let's just start with a brief introduction of our speaker of this webinar. Our speaker today is Teegan Sirianni. Uh, they are talent acquisition consultant at TELUS People and Culture. Teegan has worked as various roles in oops. Hello, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, hello everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us in today's session. Our today's topic of discussion will be the insider secrets of securing a dream job by the speaker Teegan Sirianni. My name is Harsh Kanani, and I will be kicking off things for us today. So let's start with a brief introduction of our today's speaker, Teegan. They are working as a talent acquisition specialist at TELUS People and Culture. Teegan has worked over various roles in TELUS for around 5.5 years. Along with that, they have experience in working with various fashion brands and labels, and have a total of experience of around 15 years in the field. So they will be sharing about the current and recruitment uh, about the recruitment and the screening processes at various corporate, like what they look for the candidate, and share some insights on how to stand out with your application to secure a job. So after the end of this session, we will having a Q&A session and a quick information about the upcoming SES competition from our co-host. So let's start the today's event. Over to you, Tegan.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I'd like to start by acknowledging that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territories of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that the Toronto area is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. So the introduction was fantastic. I had a whole slide with all of that already there that I didn't share with you. So thank you so much. You shared, and now I don't have to go into too much detail. But what I would like to share before we get started is that I have been in the industry and in the kind of recruitment field for over 15 years. And whether it's been on the side of my desk as a side job or my permanent job, it's always been part of who I am. I absolutely love recruiting. I love being able to bring new talent into whatever organization I'm with. And I absolutely love and stand by what TELUS does. And so for me, being with TELUS for over 5 years is a huge accomplishment because other than my child, who is now turning 12, that is the longest commitment that I've made. And as a millennial, that is something that I can be proud of, because I am the type of person that if I'm not happy in my role, I will make a change. And so to be with the same company and still have the same feeling as I did on day one, I'm very proud of that. And that is something that I bring forward when I meet with candidates regularly. So aside from all of the lovely things that Harsh said, yes, you can see everything that I've been part of and what I do with TELUS and for TELUS. And one of the things that is most important to me is being able to prepare new team members and existing team members for their career paths. So that's kind of what we'll go through today, and start with the basics of how to prepare for coming into a career at TELUS. So the spaces that we'll touch on today, we'll talk about who we are. Many people know TELUS kind of broadly, but we'll go into a little bit more nitty-gritty. We'll go into how to curate your application. And what I really want to focus on there is understanding that it's not just about your application at TELUS, it's your application in general. These are going to be tips to success in any field that you apply to. We'll go through interviewing prep and how to be kind of your best self and bring your best self forward. We'll go through also networking and why this is important, and an important aspect of bringing into kind of your career path and your career ideas. And lastly, I'm hoping we have time to touch on the co-op information that we have at TELUS as well. Okay. So I'm going to take a sip of my tea. As I mentioned to those that were joining a little bit early, I'm a little under the weather. And so I've got tea and lozenges here to get me through this next hour. So let's get started with who we are. So some of you might think you already know who TELUS is and what we're all about. Well, I want to start off with really introducing or reintroducing who we are. At TELUS, we're people first, customers first, and purpose driven. We work together every day to innovate and do good for Canadians. That is the key. That's something that you might see in most of our advertisements, whether it's mobility for good or whatever it may be. Those 4 good campaigns are there for a reason. We provide digital solutions to make lives easier and safer, supporting those who need it most. We are inclusive, we are spirited, we are giving people that have a collective power to go above and beyond for not just our customers, but for the communities that we impact. So how many of us are there? A lot. We continue to grow. So this slide is interesting because this was actually taken right before our acquisition of LifeWorks. And so these numbers have drastically changed going into 2023. And so before LifeWorks, our existing team was almost 80,000 team members globally. We have our TELUS International team, which is comprised of about 50,000 team members, and they deliver services to North and Central America, Europe, Asia. We're all over now. We're not just Canadian-based anymore. Our TELUS team is also incredibly passionate about giving back and volunteering in our communities. Collectively, we are very proud that we've volunteered for 1.6 million days of service since the year 2000, and that continues to grow year over year. This helps us feel more connected to our communities and to the people that we service. Hang on one second there. I sniffled and then I totally lost my place as to where we were going. And when we talk about TELUS and, why is it great to work for us? The awards and accolades continue to come year over year, and it never surprises me, but it also continues to surprise me because I love being able to be part of a company that is so well recognized for what it does for the right reasons. We are a top diverse employer. We are a top employer overall. We're a top employer for young people. There's so many different awards that we've been issued and recognized for year over year. So again, when we talk about TELUS and who we are, most people immediately think of mobility. Mobility is the forefront of our business. It was the first business that we started in way back when in the 1970s, but we've grown expansively since then. So I'll highlight a few. So of course we know mobility, so keeping Canadians connected as much as possible. We also have our home solutions. So in the West, we have the ability to have high-speed internet, optic TV. Home security has now been brought to the East, and these different areas and offerings that we have continues to grow. We also have our business solutions, which is for both small and large-scale businesses, whether that's providing data services, internet data centers, being able to provide smart business monitoring. These are all things that we're capable of doing. One of our largest business ventures is TELUS Health. That's now been around since 2008 and is probably the lesser known pre-pandemic. Now that we're post-pandemic, many people are familiar with the virtual care services that we have, and we are very proud of what we were able to accomplish during the pandemic. Most recently in 2020, we also went into the agriculture field. So now TELUS Agriculture has launched, and that's not just in Canada, that's actually global as well. So we have ventures in the United States, and I think mainly in Ireland when it comes to TELUS Agriculture, but we're expanding on that note as well. So lots of different opportunities available. So how do we do it? When we talk about TELUS and we talk about all of the things that we're capable of and what we're passionate about, it gets brought down to these pillars. This is the core of who we are. This is the core of what we do and why. We're passionate about putting our customers and communities first. If that's not the forefront of what we do, then it's not important that we do it. We embrace change and innovate courageously. This is something that is huge. We know the size and impact that we have as the organization that we are, and we are able to influence the market and influence what different ventures are able to do, for example, in healthcare. So we want to lead that. We want to be able to say, these are the innovations that are going to change the future. And that's what we do. We grow together through spirited teamwork. We are not a one-person operation. We are teams of people that are dedicated, and we work together tirelessly to be able to deliver on our promises. So our social purpose has really become the forefront of, especially our advertising. When you see us in the media, you've really seen a shift in what we do. Yes, you'll always see critters. The critters always bring you in, but now it's more about the people. It's more about how we impact the people around us. So yes, we are committed to leveraging our world-leading technology and compassion to drive social change and enable remarkable human outcomes. There's a variety of ways that we do this, and we're going to get into that in the next couple slides. Here we are. So some of the things that we're able to do, we ignite a career path that really brings your personal potential forward. It's not just about work-life balance. It's about your sense of belonging and what you bring to the table that brings us forward and brings us kind of to that future-friendly mentality. Being able to have a company and be part of a company that cares about connecting with your whole self. Again, being able to bring who you are forward. The fact that I'm in an organization where I can proudly display my pronouns and have them respected throughout what I do is a very small example of what we do at TELUS. That's very seamless and seems like this is just the way it should be. We respect each of our team members for who they are. We have a culture that goes above and beyond the expected to strengthen communities. Our TELUS Days of Giving is something that we go through each year in May and June, but it doesn't end there. We have community give back efforts year round, whether that's volunteering, fundraising, bringing on new nonprofits that we support. These are all ways that we give back, and we do it year round. So that was a bit about TELUS. So now we're going to get into how to apply. So again, this section isn't necessarily just specific to TELUS. This is going to be something that is really, really useful for you moving forward, regardless of the company that you're targeting. Know you, know who you are, and know who the employer is. This is really going to help you figure out why you're an asset to that company and why you're going to want to work for them. So if we think back to, even 10 years ago, putting out a resume, to whom it may concern. Oh, those words irk me, to whom it may concern. No, that's such a blanket term. We don't use that. We don't want to see that. We want to see that you have personalized that application. Dear TELUS Finance Department, sweet. Now I know that you want to apply here. But make sure that you are being very careful when you're doing this, because I have seen time and time again a curated application that is for another employer. So make sure that when you're applying, before you hit send, that you've got the right name in there. Next up, going through your application and your resume. What are we really going to be looking for here? You need to know your audience in whatever it is that you're doing. So there's going to be a TA like myself, that's just another way of saying recruiter, who's going to be looking at your application. The hiring leaders are going to be looking at the application and any potential additional panel members, so people that are helping out with those interviews. So you need to make sure that your resume stands out, it's specific to the role, and that we understand who you are and why you want this role. So emphasizing those keywords from the job description, from the company's profile, from their website, to be able to really draw in, knowing who we are as I had mentioned, our social purpose, our values, our pillars. These are things that you can draw on to bring who you are to your application. Be concise and action driven. When I say concise, no recruiter wants to look through a 5-page resume. We barely want to look through a 2-page resume. We get hundreds of applications. If you can get it down to 1 page and get your points across, you're golden. Depending on the field that you're in, you may have a portfolio, whether it's digital or physical. Nowadays, 99% of the time, it's digital. So if you have a portfolio to share that link in your resume. Make sure that PDF has the ability to draw out that link so that we can take a look at that. And we'll talk more about portfolios in a second. When we talk about your jobs, the jobs that you've had, one of the big things that I really try to impart on people is understanding what you brought to the job. For example, if I were to write out my resume right now and say I'm a talent acquisition consultant with the people and culture team at TELUS, instead of saying I review applications, I schedule phone screens, I perform the phone screens, and I give notes to the hiring leaders, those are just parts of my job description. What I would put in my resume is I am my own marketing manager and I create my own content to draw in new applicants in exciting and new ways. I actively source passive candidates to show them why they should join our company. I go outside of the box to see what's going on in the market and how we can draw in new talent. That's a lot more exciting than what I said first. So think about the jobs that you've had and what you bring to the role. That's what should follow that job title. Okay, so that's the why you. And that in itself will highlight your skills and your proficiency to be able to do the job. Okay, and before you send it, edit and proofread, make sure there's no grammatical errors, make sure there's continuity in your fonts, in your sizes, make sure all of that's there. We look at hundreds of applications every day. So when we see inconsistencies like that, that would be such a sad deal breaker for you to not have your resume seen because you didn't take the time to edit and proofread it. Okay, so those are the parts about your resume. Let's get into portfolio a little bit more. I don't want to draw on this one for too long just because I don't know how many of you are actually going to need this part, but let's go through it. If you do have a portfolio, this is your first impression, and this could be the deal breaker, regardless of what you have on your resume. So when we're talking about your portfolio, make sure, whether it's digital or physical, that you have your highlighted skills, what you've accomplished, and that it tells a story. It's able to tell us why you've included this. Okay? So one of the big things that we're going to go through is really being able to draw on 4 to 5 examples roughly. That's really going to give us a really good indicator of who you are and what you're capable of. Tell us what you did on these projects, why you did what you did, and how you did it. So how did you overcome the problem? What was the problem that was presented to you? What did you go through? Show us the in-betweens. What was your brainstorming like? What was your first iterations like? Show us why you changed that to adapt to what you finally did. These are all ways that we're going to be able to understand how you work. So being able to show that in your process is huge. Okay? That's everything I'm going to touch on for portfolio. If there's questions at the end, we can continue. So now you know who we are at TELUS. You know how to curate your application and as well as your portfolio. So let's talk about interview tips. Before I do that, I'm going to put another lozenge in my mouth because I'm feeling dry. Give me a moment. All right. Again, 90% of the time these days, it's going to be a virtual interview, especially if they're hiring remote positions. There's a potential you're going to be talking to people from all over the country, if not globally. So let's talk about what you need to do to prepare. So when you come to an interview, the best things that you can do is one, interview or go through Google for interview tips. Most oftentimes, behavior-based interviews have 2 similar formats. It could be called STAR or BAR. So STAR or BAR. And the premise of that is being able to provide the background of a situation, the action that you took part in, and the overall result of that. That tells the interviewer that you have curated a specific example from your repertoire to be able to draw on. We really want to avoid hypotheticals or generalizations. We really want to know what you did in these instances to be able to finish or answer the question, whatever it may be, because that's going to tell us more than just how you overcome a situation. It's going to tell us how you got there and what you did to do that. So that's why behavior-based interviews are probably the most common. So to prepare yourself for that, you can Google how to do that. And what you really want to be able to do is list out some of your top accomplishments, as well as some of your mistakes. 9 times out of 10, an interviewer is going to ask you about your faults as well. Be realistic, be self-aware. Nobody's perfect. You've made mistakes, we all have. How did you overcome them? That's what we want to know. Okay. So if you come prepared with a couple pieces of your portfolio, a couple answers from your past, if you have these things to draw on, that's really going to help you. We're going to ask you about your skills and experience. So have those things ready at hand. And I don't mean at hand on your computer. We don't want to see you reading. Because if I were to sit here and answer like this and go through a question and be able to give you a response, I know that you're reading. Okay. Every recruiter is going to be able to tell that you're reading and you're not being genuine. And so you can prepare your examples, but don't necessarily have them up on your screen to draw from. They're going to be fresh in your memory. Okay. Trust yourself. Make sure you're providing specific examples. That's going to be the key with this. Okay. We're going to get into tailored questions in the next slide and explain a little bit more on what this means. But before we do that, I really want to make sure that everybody on this call, if you're interested in a career at TELUS, visit our website. Take a look, telus.com/careers. Take a look, set up your preferences, set up your profile, be able to set yourself up with the, we have a way to be able to get career alerts so that even if there's not a role right now, you can get career alerts once a day, once a week, once a month, however you want to set it up so that you can be notified when there's new jobs that you are interested in. Okay, so that's going to be key as well. So let's get into tailored questions and what that means. So you've prepared your side of things, but how can you show that you've invested time to learn more about the company? Go onto their website, go onto their social media, take a look at what they're doing, take a look at what they're involved in, take a look at the market that they're involved in. What's going on in the market? What's in the news in their respective field? You can bring questions to the table to say, how are you combating, the changes in XYZ market? You can go to questions, how has it been integrating LifeWorks into the larger TELUS corporation? You can draw on questions that are active and new in the market now to really set yourself apart and blow them away in an interview. Because being prepared with questions like that is really going to be able to impress somebody, especially in jobs that require research. Do your research. It's key, especially data analytics. Being able to go through and see what's going on in the market today and bring that information to your interview is going to set you apart. Okay? Take a look on LinkedIn. Who's interviewing? What company is it? Take a look at what they've got going on. If you're curious about your interviewer, take a look at their profile. What does their work experience look like? If you were to look me up, you can see where I've been in the past. What led me to my career at TELUS? You can ask these questions. That's absolutely okay. So that's everything on preparing you for your interview. You are now prepared for your end-to-end application process. But how can you really expand your reach while you're searching for your next job? Networking. So if I were to ask this group, hypothetically, What comes to mind when you think of the word networking? How do you define it? Just in your heads is fine, or in the comments. It doesn't matter. I can't see them right now anyways. But it really is about building relationships and a certain level of reciprocity and being able to help each other. That's not always what comes to mind. The media tends to put a negative light on a lot of things, and that tends to be what sticks with us, especially when we talk about networking. It's not always about me. I need to do this to get this, to get this, to get this. There's reciprocity in it, okay? So that's what we're going to talk about. When we talk about networking at TELUS, we really want to look at 3 key categories to make it successful. So when you go into a conversation, before you even get to a conversation, say there's somebody that you see that's interesting to you, reach out to them. Hey, I really liked what you posted about this. I'd love to learn more. Do you have some time to be able to have a quick coffee chat? I'd love to learn what you're working on. That's one way to be able to do it. What we really want to be able to focus on is learning as much as possible about the other person and how, 1, you can potentially help them, and 2, how they can help you. Are you looking for a mentor? Are you looking to learn more about their field? Are you looking to learn more about their career advancements? Are you looking to gain insight on their network? There's so many different things that you can do when you reach out to somebody. You need to understand what you want out of that conversation before going into it and what you can offer in return. And that's where number 2, give back, comes in. Give back, I like to put a spin on this one, and I'll explain in a moment. And so if you are looking to advance your career, how can you support another project while you're in the role that you're in? Or even in school right now, how can you help your professors to be able to, alleviate some of their workload and potentially be able to add to your resume and what you've done? Giving back also includes, volunteering with an association or department. How can you give your time, whether that's in the community or in the workforce? And being able to share, a frontline customer's perspective. Even if you have nothing else to offer, if you've been a customer on the other side, you might be able to be of use in that way. If you're looking to network in other ways and maybe you're shy or introverted, the ways that you can network and not feel like you're pushing yourself too much, join a community group or join an employee resource group. These are going to be ways that expand your network naturally in ways that you couldn't even imagine, because there's people from all over that are joining these things as well. So you're going to meet a lot of different people in a very natural way, and you're doing good. And so that's where I take the spin on give back. And the most important piece with networking is staying in touch. So if there's somebody new that you've wanted to reach out to, you've reached out to them, you've had that conversation, you've offered your support as well. Now you have to be able to say, can we touch base in another month from now? Maybe we can meet in a couple weeks to be able to see where we are on what we've left with each other. Or maybe we can have recurring sessions where we meet every quarter. But the most important piece is going to be staying in touch in some way or another. So let's get started with networking. Again, focus on what you want. We've got some people in the waiting room, folks. I'm not sure if we wanted to admit them or what we want to do, but they keep popping up on my screen. So when we talk about networking, again, what do you want to get out of that conversation? Tailor your questions based on that. Yes, you can be cheeky and talk about the weather to start and break the ice however you want, but make sure you have a list of core questions that you really want to be able to focus on so that you can get the most out of that. Especially if networking is not natural to you, having a list prepared is really going to help you build that natural ability to have kind of a fluid conversation. And you can absolutely say, you know what, this might be one of my first instances kind of having one of these conversations, so I'm sorry if I'm a little awkward. Hey, that might break the ice. At least you've been honest. No harm in that whatsoever. We're all human. It's okay. But definitely being able to draw on questions like these to understand what you can get out of these conversations. I'll leave this up for a moment if you want to be able to take a screenshot of that or copy that, whatever you would like. And I'm going to take a sip of my tea because it's been a little bit. All right, we're a half an hour in. We're doing pretty well on time. I've got co-op still to go through, okay? So co-op at TELUS. This is where we kind of shift gears a little bit. We're going to talk more about how where you are right now can impact how you can kind of come into TELUS in various different ways. So absolutely, you're in school, that's okay. Whenever you graduate, whether you're first year, second year, whatever it may be, that's fine. We have a variety of roles that you can come in that are permanent, no problem. If your program has a co-op requirement, we have that available too. So we're going to go through that too, okay? So here's the two different types of co-ops that we really have at TELUS. We have our structured co-op program as well as our graduate programs. So our co-op programs, we post in for our summer term, our fall term, and our winter term. And so we have 4 to 6 month co-op opportunities. And again, we host them 3 times a year. And this really gives the ability to curate your experience based on what you're studying. So the majority of our focus, I think, is on data analytics and engineering. Those are really big ones for us, but there's co-op availabilities throughout TELUS. Our graduate programs, we post once a year. That's August and September, so that's towards the beginning of school. And so once you finished school in August, absolutely, we have these programs available to you. When you graduate in May the following year, that's when we'll look at what these opportunities are. So there's a couple ways. Now there's also something else that we have. Let's layer in some extras. We have our Diversity and Technology Scholarship. These are our recent winners that we've had. So we're investing $5,000 in scholarships for women and minorities in their final year of a technology-related program. One of the big things that I can take out of this and share with you, our TELUS Agriculture department that came out in 2020 was because of a submission in our scholarship program. It was a student that submitted a proposal that got us the department that we have today, that is TELUS Agriculture. That's absolutely crazy. So our 2020 or 2019 submission, or I think it was a 2019 submission that was able to launch that. And how cool is that? That one person submitted an idea and we now have an entire new department because of that. I love it. Absolutely amazing. And so yes, this is another way that you can be involved with TELUS. So what to expect at TELUS? In our co-op and internships, really you're going to be building your network of colleagues across the company, whether it's in your department, outside of your department, you're going to be able to meet new people. So those networking skills that we talked about, really going to come in handy. We're going to challenge you and help you build on your skills that you've learned in school. We're going to learn and grow consistently through the coaching and mentorship that we have at TELUS. Our coaching program is absolutely fantastic. We prepare people for their career growth. That is a key important pillar for us at TELUS. It's not just about your next steps in the company, it's your next steps that you want for yourself. Even if I'm preparing you for a role outside of TELUS, I've helped in preparing you for that. That's the type of culture that we have here. In these experiences, you'll be able to enjoy many rewarding opportunities to make new friends, and of course, as we've mentioned many times, give back to the community. So when do we look to do these things? We post for our co-ops 3 times a year, like we said. So for the winter term, we post it in October, and the hiring really starts for January. For summer, we post in February, we hire by May, and in fall, the postings go up in May to hire for September. So even if you miss one deadline, it's going to come back in a couple months. Get that application ready. Now for engineering and technology students, the terms are a little bit different. It's not just 4 to 6 months, it's 4 to 16 months, because there's a lot more to learn and there's a lot more going on, innovation, things like that. These things take time. We can't get much done in 6 months in this regard. Okay. So, after all of that, we've gone through a lot. We've gone through who TELUS is, how to be prepared to apply, to interview, to network. We've gone through the co-op opportunities at TELUS. You folks are prepared and you know it all now. But if there's any questions, I'll leave this slide, and I'm now done talking. So I don't know if we want to allow for the participants to come off mute, or Harsh, if you want to be able to interject here, but the content portion is now complete.
Yeah, so thank you, Teegan. It was a very wonderful session. Okay, we got a lot of information about the co-ops and the other things which are needed to get a job, a good job. So over to you, Meenakshi.
Thank you, Teegan. Thank you, Harsh. What stood out to me the most was the 2019 submission, which actually turned into the whole new section of TELUS. It shows that, like, there's a lot of opportunities, and every work is given so much importance, and I was very touched by that. Yeah, I mean, I will request all my audience members, whoever wants to go with the Q&A, we are open. Teegan is here for us to help. Please, if anyone, unmute yourself.
This is where we should play some Jeopardy music just to kind of kill the silence. I know everybody's hungry. If you're in this time zone, getting close to dinner time, folks. I get it. It's okay. But this is the time to take advantage. If you do have any questions, please, by all means, ask them now. I'd love to be able to hear your thoughts as well. Or what stood out the most to you, if you want to share what you're most intrigued to learn more about. Open it up.
Hi, Teegan. This is Pankri.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? First of all, amazing session. And I think I learned a lot of things. Although I'm trying to connect people over LinkedIn, over mail, and a lot of things, but I don't know. One thing, it always triggers me that when I'm applying on the website, the most of the time it's getting rejected, even if I feel like I could at least schedule the interview, get a scheduled interview for that. But I don't know, like, is it like worthy of getting more like getting referral is better, or like applying on the website is, because I don't know, most of the time I don't get reward when I'm applying on the websites.
It's definitely difficult. So that's a two-part answer. So thank you for bringing that up. One, you have to understand we get thousands of submissions. Being a company with so many awards and accolades, that comes with a lot more people wanting to work here. So it's nothing necessarily that you're doing incorrectly. However, there's ways that you can stand out. And you did mention one of them. A referral goes a long way. If you've been referred by an internal team member, that means that they believe that you fit our values, you fit our work culture, and that you would be a good fit for this role. So we would oftentimes review that and be able to see what's going on. The other things that you can do is connect with TAs such as myself on LinkedIn and be able to see who's interested in being able to kind of help support curating your application. So as I had mentioned, with being able to know the company you're applying to, also know your skills. So for example, if we're talking, data analytics, if your resume is just white paper with Times New Roman, basic, we see hundreds of those a day. Show us your skills. If you are in tech in any way, tech, design, whatever it may be, show us your skills. Also, Google has some pretty good formats out there that you can change that up and add some color and stand out a little bit more. But there's nothing worse than going through a pile of, digital resumes and they all look the same. It gets really hard to remember who was Pankri, who was I talking to, who was I looking at. Make your resume stand out. I don't need a picture. We don't need that. Like, don't go that far. That's fine. But if you want to really stand out, you can jazz it up by showing us your skills and what you can do. So that would be huge. Now, if you don't have a ton of experience in the field that you're applying to, I know there is so much controversy over the use of a cover letter nowadays. But if you don't have experience, then how are we to know that you're skilled in this? We need that cover letter, because you don't have the opportunity in person to say, hey, I'm the right person for the job. That cover letter is going to tell us that you've researched who we are, that you know that we're a fit together, and that you're qualified for this role. You can sell yourself in that cover letter to be able to say, please review my application because of X, Y, Z. And that'll help quite a bit too. So hopefully that helps you.
One more thing. If during the interview, if recruiter is asking for some specific maybe skill, although I know what that skill is, but I'm not good at it. How to make him prove that I can work on it? I can just prove myself it, because sometimes it's not it's not possible to have all the skills which the recruiter is looking for. But like out of 10, if I think if I have 6 of them, four of them, I can definitely work on it. Like, so how to make them believe in ourselves in that case?
So that's when you go into how you learn. So when we talk, so you're all in school right now, obviously, so you're learning in classes, but how
Right.
else do you learn? So say you see some skill sets that you're not really familiar with. For example, you're applying to a tier 2 customer service role and you see ITIL on the application. You go, what the heck is that? Look it up. Look it up. Watch a YouTube video. Look through Coursera. Look through, LinkedIn Learning. There are different ways that you can say, you know what? I don't have that skill yet, but I looked into it and it's similar to this skill that I have, and I think I could learn that pretty easily. Okay. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, I think I get it. I think this is a good answer. I can start working on it. Thank you for this. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any other thoughts, questions?
I think we have one more question in the chat. How can we get coffee chats with someone of the recruiters? What are like the steps to do that?
That's a tough one. That's one that I always kind of have an internal struggle with, because I'll be honest, I probably have 10 people a day reaching out to me on LinkedIn. And that's one of the hardest things to be able to have to say no to, because if I say yes to one person, they're going to say, oh my God, this is the recruiter to talk to. And then all of a sudden I can't get any work done with my existing applicants. So the key thing when you are requesting a coffee chat or to learn more, you have to have had applied already. Make sure you have applied to the role. Make sure you tell the recruiter what role you've applied to. Make sure that recruiter is the one that's attached to that, is hiring for similar roles. If any of you go and look at my LinkedIn right now, you'll see that in my profile, you'll see the roles that I'm hiring for. So if you ask me about, an economics role or something in agriculture, I'm not your person. I'm not the one to go to. I don't hire for that. I hire for TELUS Health. I hire for finance. And so these are roles that I know about. So if you're asking me about other roles, I might not be able to help you. You need to find a recruiter that's hiring for similar roles. So that's also key. But please make sure that you've applied to a role before you go and reach out, because we get 10 messages at least a day saying, I'm interested in roles at TELUS and I'd love to learn more. Great, that's really vague, and I just did a 40-minute presentation on what it is to be an applicant at TELUS. So I need a little bit more information. So please make sure that you've applied. Tell us what you're specifically curious about, and then we can look at what a coffee chat potentially looks like.
Thank you for that. I have a question. So like, you are already in the organization, you're already in the role, and now you want to position yourself such that you you are asking for promotion, but it's not asking directly, but instead
Mhm.
showing them with the, like, I myself show them with the work that, okay, I'm ready for a promotion, but that you have to put it out there, right? Then only they will know that, yeah, okay, you're looking forward to it. So when that is the case, how do you like position yourself for a promotion?
That's where TELUS kind of differentiates itself, because we have quarterly career conversations. And so being transparent with your leader about your career goals and aspirations is going to help you get to where you want to be. So that's where that skill really comes in handy. So what we never want is for somebody to fear bringing up moving to a new role because of fear of being let go from their current role. That's not how we do things at TELUS. That's not our culture. That's not our brand. We are here to support you and grow together. And so if there's a role that you're looking for example, when I was in the retail side of things, I wanted to learn more about TELUS Health. So I spoke to my managers about things that we could do. Unfortunately, they didn't have any connections to TELUS Health, so I went and found them myself. I reached out to the hiring leader to say, hey, we don't know much on our side of the business. I'd love to learn more. I had that conversation and started to build my network from there. And that's where networking comes in too. If you're looking to build your career, talk to your leader about those skills that you want to develop, those projects that you want to have under your belt to help you get there, and the potential network that can help you, because your brand is not going to be understood unless you have a network that can vouch for it. And what I mean by that is, what are you known for? In this presentation alone, I don't know if we can see my hands moving constantly. I'm known for this. I'm kidding. But I'm known for a great many things at TELUS. And there's a lot of people that know that because of the level of network that I've built over my 5 years. So if you don't have that and it's just your team that's able to vouch for you, it's going to make things a lot harder. And that's where getting involved in community events, getting involved in employee resource groups, these things are really going to be able to help. And so those are just a couple of ways that you can really kind of get your career off the ground and moving your career path forward.
Wow, that was a good one. Yeah, makes sense. Thank you so much for that. Anyone has any other questions?
Hi, Teegan, Siddhant here. Just want to thank you for this session and like commend you on the way you expressed everything and put forth your points. It almost felt as if, like recruiters also want candidates and applicants to succeed, and it doesn't feel daunting anymore after hearing what you had to say. So yeah, thank you so much.
My pleasure. That's always my goal. I never want people to feel like recruiters are robotic or non-caring or anything like that. No, it's the opposite. We're here. We want to see passionate people succeed. That's our goal. That's why we're in these roles. That's why we're passionate about what we do. And so yeah, we really want to take the stigma out of, applying for a job and kind of being scared of putting yourself out there like that. So that's what we're here for.
Sure, thank you.
Hello. Hi,
Hi.
Tegan. Hi, my name is Harsiman. I want to discuss one situation. I could be wrong. So I was giving an online interview in a company for a co-op role. So before, like, just when we started the interview, so while the two recruiters, they introduced about themselves, and when I started to introduce myself, I have seen that they were kind of distracted. I just started it. They like one recruiter, she was watching, I don't know, behind her laptop. Other recruiter, she was I don't know, she was looking down. So there was no eye contact, and that impression that I got, and I realized, okay, I am not selected, and it actually decreased, my performance in the interview. And I was even before the interview end, I was like, in my mind, I had this, okay, I'm not selected because she wasn't interested in listening to me. And that I did not clear that interview, and it just got inside my head that, okay, if the interviewer, if they are listening to you, openly having that eye contact, it is good. Otherwise, you are not selected. So is there something like we could do to grab their attention, even if they review our resume and they do not find, okay, I'm an average candidate, not so good, and they just to grab their attention that it's more than the resume.
Absolutely. So that's a really great point, and that's going to bring me to another topic. So I'm going to challenge you on that one a little bit. First, if it was genuinely that they were displaying a lack of interest, I'm sorry, they didn't do their jobs very well. Because even if I know after 5-10 minutes that I'm not going to proceed with a candidate, that candidate is still going to leave with a fantastic experience and feel good. That's what I'm here to do. I am here to make sure that they get the interview that they signed up for, that we go through everything the same as we would with any other candidate, and then I'm going to thank them for their time and let them know that they've been valued. I'm never going to display in an interview that somebody hasn't been successful. That's poor leadership on their part. But on the other side, if we look at interpretation, eye contact, the need for eye contact has changed quite a bit over the years, and here's why. There's different learning styles. There are varying abilities in the world today that we didn't have several years ago and that we didn't focus on. And what I mean by that is when we talk about neurotypical versus neurodivergent, I'm neurodivergent. I hate eye contact. I hate it. I don't do panel interviews on video anymore because of that. I do phone interviews only. I don't like eye contact, but I will remember every word that you said in that interview. So just because I'm not displaying eye contact doesn't mean I'm not paying attention. Now, I'm not saying that that's what they did, because it definitely sounds like your analysis might have been correct on that one, but don't take that necessarily as a pitfall or as something that you're doing wrong. It's definitely changing on how we perceive things. So understanding how somebody wants to be engaged with, how somebody best learns and understands. And if you need to take a pause, take a pause. Like, is there something, did we need to pause the interview? Was there something more pressing that you needed to do? We can reschedule if you would like. I guaranteed if you said that, one, that's completely professional to say. You're still being respectful. You're being respectful of yourself as well as them, and offering the flexibility to say, you know what, if something's come up, please, by all means, take care of business as you need to, and we can resume this when you're ready.
This is good.
There's nothing wrong with advocating for yourself, right? And if they put a sour taste in your mouth, then maybe that's not a company you wanted to work for anyway.
That was for me actually a good company. So even if we started feeling that we made any mess, how to just cover it up in the next question? How to just give something that, okay, this candidate has more knowledge, like just handle that temperament over there.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
It's just like if we are just I got confused actually. Everything is
Let me frame that for you. So what she means is, for example, if the recruiter asks us a question, maybe we don't know the answer to, or we didn't frame it properly, and we kind of messed that question up, and we just lost the chance of answering that question. They ask us another question. How do we make sure that we are still calm and composed, but we cover the mess that we made in the next question? That's what they say.
Absolutely. So I think what you can do in that instance, if you don't understand a question, don't answer it yet. Ask for clarity. Ask for clarity. Take your time. You don't need to rush through things. So if a question has been posed to you in a way that you don't feel confident in answering it, or you don't quite understand, say that. You know what? I'm not really grasping what you're looking for in this answer. Can you rephrase the question for me? And if it still comes to that you don't have the experience in that, you can say, you know what? I don't have experience in that, in what you're looking for in this, but here's how I would tackle that. So yes, I talked about behavior-based questions and drawing on specific experiences, but if you don't have them, don't blow straight into a generalization or a hypothetical. let them know flat out, you know what, I don't have that experience. That's a really good question, but here's what I would do. Okay? And then you can at the end say, does that answer your question? Ask them.
Yeah.
Ask them. If you're not confident that you answered it well, ask them, did that answer your question? And that's how you can kind of proceed. Okay.
This is good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Last words to say, I cannot thank enough T for giving us the session. It was very informative. And I know for sure everyone learned a lot. In this 1 hour, we learned a lot. So thank you so much for the session.
Absolutely. I encourage you each to reach out on LinkedIn, whether you're just going to creep me and look at my profile to see if I just see what I was talking about is true, or if you want to reach out and make a new connection, I am there for it. Okay.
Thank you.